Rest in peace, beautiful Bobby Eaton. Yeah, someone taste it. Taste the nasty. What is it? When it's Thursday. That's a Thursday. It's Thursday. Let's get gritty. Let's get gritty. Let's get gritty. Yeah, let's get gritty. $8 donation. Let's get gritty. Go. Here we go. Here we go. Yo, 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 yo.
This is Philly in this city. We so gritty in this city. Yeah, we so gritty in this city. In Philly, yo, we might eat our own shitty in this city. We're so gritty in Philly, yeah, gritty in Philly. We might eat our own shitty in Philly. We're gritty, yo, this whole city. We're gritty, yo, we might eat our own shitty. Yeah, eat our own shitty. In the city of Philly, we eat shitty. We're gritty as can be. We can survive off our motherfucking own feces. In Philly, we're gritty. In Philly, we're gritty. In Soul City, we'll eat our own shitty. In Philly, that's why our mascot looks like a crazy ass fuck turd. What the fuck is up? In Philly, yo, we're gritty. We're gritty. In Philly, the city, we'll eat our own shitty. We'll eat our own fecal matter off the street. Yo, Tom Brady, how it feel to get fucking beat? Yo, Philly, we're gritty. In this city, in Philly, we're gritty. We'll eat our own shitty. In Philly, we're gritty. We'll eat our own shitty. In Philly, nobody's fucking with our city. Gritty.
Man, that is the greatest anthem of all time for Philadelphia. I mean, listen. First, Philadelphia, we beat them in the Super Bowl. Well, that was wonderful as a Patriots fan. And then I think we lost to them in the Super Bowl, right? Or something like that. And then they ate their own shit in the streets. And then they beat us in the Super Bowl. So they sort of got that payback of me laughing at them eating shit for a long time, you know, because then they win the Super Bowl. I like Philly in a lot of ways. You know, there's lots of love and hate about Philly. You know, there really is. A lot to love and also hate about Philly. There's a lot to say today as we're live right now. I wasn't going to go live with this. I was going to just record a podcast, and I still will probably at some point when I end the stream continue recording maybe. I don't know. Because Meant to Offend and this my own podcast is going to be hopefully a daily occurrence on the Patreon. And some of it will go up on iTunes for free, and some clips will go up on YouTube for free, but the long form will go up on Patreon because we've got to have some content over there. Plus, people love the audio and stuff like that, so there you go. The questions, I'm going to get to those. I asked a couple days ago, and you've sent them to me. I don't know if they're good or bad or terrible or whatever, so we'll figure that out. They won, then they ate shit. Oh, Zach McNulty, thank you. Okay, I couldn't remember. I could not remember that. Well, I was supposed to go get my phone done today. A lot of things are supposed to happen today, and it's still broken. So here we are. What happens is it just turns off out of nowhere. So allegedly the guy, when he fixed it, I guess the guy who fixed my screen did something wrong. So the epoxy stuff or whatever is coming off, and it just shuts off and on all the time. I never know what's going on, but he says it's the battery. So I don't know. He says he's paying for most of it, but I had to pay $30 for the battery or something like that. I don't know. I don't know if that's really his fault 100%, but either way, it's been a weird day. It's been a horrible day for me. I hope you guys are having a good day. It's been a real bad day for Bobby Eaton because he's dead. So that's not good. But he was, battling it out for a few. Let's listen to Dave Meltzer real quickly because Dave Meltzer knows Bobby Eaton better than anyone, than most of us. And let's see what his initial take is real quick. Let's hear from Dave Meltzer. We have to talk about Bobby Eaton first before we continue on with the show. And, we'll talk about almost anything: wrestling, news, politics, science, movies, dildo practice. We'll talk about anything you want here because anything goes.
He was in that era.
So let's hear Bobby.
Somewhere, just based on his work alone. And, I mean, the big thing for him was Jim Cornette. I mean, because when, as good as Bobby was in that era, so much of your game depended on interviewing, and Bobby wasn't much of an interviewer. He was a shy guy, but Jim Cornette was one of the great talkers of all time. And when you put the two together, with Jim Cornette, with managing the Midnight Express, which was, Bobby Eaton and Dennis Conjuring, later Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane, it was one of the greatest tag team acts that there's ever been. But Bobby, I mean, a lot of people don't know. I mean, Bobby was always a wrestling fan in Alabama, and he was trained by Tojo Yamamoto, and he started working for Nick Goulas, and he started at the bottom and moved his way. He was so talented. I mean, Bobby was probably main eventing, I don't know, he started at 17. He was probably main eventing by 19 or 20, I would think, because he was having like sensational matches with Randy Savage before Randy Savage went to ICW. And he, was formed a couple of tag teams for Nick Goulas, including the Jet Set, which was, I guess, his first big break as a babyface tag team with George Goulas, who was Nick's son, who was not a good wrestler whatsoever, and Bobby was fantastic. So Bobby basically carried the team, and they were the top babyface tag team in that territory. And Bobby eventually left, went to other places. I had known of Bobby, but I think the first I saw of him would have been, I didn't see him in his, originally in Tennessee. I wasn't getting tapes yet is when he started working for Jarrett. But I saw him in Georgia Championship Wrestling, where he held the TV title, and he was not really pushed, but he was there, and he was a super worker. I mean, that was the one thing, is like I'd watch him, and I was just like amazed. He was one of the best in the world, but he wasn't really getting a push. I mean, he would win his television matches. He was not a guy who would get squashed, but he mostly worked underneath, sometimes the middle. Wasn't beating the top stars.
I was going to cut it off anyway. I we can't listen to the whole life story.
Joe, you see the Locks versus Dipset battle?
I was going to cut it off in a minute anyway, because obviously, we're not going to listen to the whole story of Bobby Eaton's life, which is, whatever. But Will Tactics, thank you for the $1.99, man. Yo, Joe, you see the Locks versus Dipset battle? No. Oh, yeah. Not really, though. I didn't pay much. I saw it the other day. I did one of those things that I often do when I see things like this. I click the little like button on Twitter so that I can like it, so that I can go back and watch it later. So I know of that something happened and that it's something, because I saved it on my Twitter timeline, I think. But I don't know what was said yet. You know what I mean? I mean, one of the first things I ever heard from Dre was, nothing but a G thing or whatever. That was probably the first song. The Chronic is someone said, what's my favorite track? The Chronic is one of the first rap albums or whatever CDs that I ever had, probably, with a couple other ones. So, and I didn't get it till 1993 or 4. I think it came out in 92 though. And so those, that stuff back then, that shit, that kind of old school original sort of cookout, anything that was like that sort of like cookout in the ghetto sort of party stuff that was going on at the time, before it really got darker into the like more gangster type of shit. Like, that stuff was more what I would listen to. I didn't identify with like a lot of the gangster rap or the stuff that was like, super, like, we'll shoot you, like, if you shoot us, like, those type of things. Like, I didn't get that. I didn't get the police stuff. I was literally living in New Hampshire as a 8, 9, and 10-year-old when I really started getting into music. So 8, 9, and 10-year-old living in New Hampshire in a town of, white people. Like, I didn't understand any of that, really. I was like, what? This doesn't happen, or I don't know what this means. I couldn't really, but like the party stuff or like that sort of thing, I was like, oh, this sounds cool. This sounds fun. It wasn't until about 1996 that like that stuff started being like, I could, because you can't identify with it, you know what I mean? But you can you can understand it. So you can, like, it's like a horror movie. You go watch a horror movie and, you know what I mean? Like, you're watching a horror movie, but that's why when people say, oh, you can't listen to gangster rap, or you can't listen to this type of rap or this type of song or metal or whatever you listen to, you can't do that. Well, I mean, it's the same thing. It doesn't mean the same thing to everybody, but it still can mean something. It's like going to see a horror movie. It's like, I'm entertained by this horror movie. Am I a murderer? No. Do I want to see people murdered? No. But the movie was entertaining because I could understand the story. It's the same thing with music. You can understand the story of what someone's talking about. So anybody that ever says that makes no sense. Someone reads poetry from like 300 years ago, or somebody reads, stuff about Greece or the Roman or something back in the day that was art back then. You can understand it. It's not fucking ridiculous to understand. You know what I mean? You're not stupid. You can understand it. So you can appreciate things. We don't know the cause of Bobby Eaton's death. Apparently he fell the other day and he had fallen recently and that was bad. Where he broke fingers and hurt his face a little bit, but it's not clear here. They're not saying why, he died or if it was related to that. So we really don't know 100% on Bobby Eaton as far as that goes. Will Tactics, thank you for the super chat. If you guys want, I did attach to the top of the screen the link to Perfect Sparrow Streamlabs. Use that link if you guys want to drop any donos, change a topic, talk about something, or throw the dollars towards the show, towards me. Much appreciated. I will be going grocery shopping potentially later today. And I will be buying tampons. That being said, yeah, Dr. Dre's daughter's apparently homeless. So, wow. Dr. Dre's daughter is homeless, and she's reaching out. Now, who knows why this is? Maybe she had a lot of money and she did some. I don't know. But Dr. Dre's daughter saying she's homeless and she can't get a hold of her dad or something like that. Why is she homeless living in her car? I don't know. But a lot of people are talking about this. Dr. Dre, major heat after daughter calls him out for her being homeless. And I don't know if there's video of this on Twitter, living out of a rent-a-car. I don't know. Is she just, crying bullshit? I don't know. Do we have video of this? That's the thing that I was wondering about. Does anybody have a video? Is she making videos? Does she have a phone? Dr. Dre's daughter, Dr. Dre. Let's see. And I don't see any videos of it, but I do see everywhere. 38-year-old daughter, mother of 4, says she's homeless and living out of the SUV. Oh, here we go. I may have found the video. Oh, no, this is just an Instagram post. Has to do DoorDash to survive. I mean, a lot of people have to do DoorDash to survive at this point. Fucking I might be signing up at this point. I mean, I'm doing other things, but similar. Yeah, kind of weird. I mean, that's a nice car, though. Is that her car? Oh, it's a rent-a-car? Wait, so she's renting a car to do DoorDash? But how much is the weekly rental? Is it like $200 weekly to rent? I'm trying to think how this is possible. I'm trying to do the math here. Because DoorDash, if you're renting a car for $200, that looks like a nice car that she's renting. Look at that. What is that? It looks like a Tesla or something. So she's renting a car to do DoorDash, which is $200. It's got to be at least, what is it, guys? To rent a car for a week? That's like $200 Oh, out of an SUV, living out of an SUV rental. Dude, what the fuck? An SUV rental is wicked expensive. What the fuck? Something doesn't add up in this story. Dr. Dre's 38-year-old daughter, mother of 4, says she's homeless and living out of an SUV rental and has to do DoorDash to survive. Well, DoorDash you can make if you work fucking morning until night, like you bust your ass. Like you say, all right, I'm going to work from 9 a.m. until 11 p.m., right? That's all 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's like 15 hours. If you work 15 hours at DoorDash a day, you could make $200, $220, you could make about $220 a day. If you worked 15 hours at DoorDash a day, you could make $220. So yes, if you did DoorDash for 15 hours a day, 5 days a week, you are looking at $1,100 a week. And therefore, if the SUV rental is like $300-$400 a week, I guess, then you would profit $700 a week. So I suppose that this could be true. I mean, I might downgrade to a smaller car, but are her kids in the car with her? Is that where are the kids? Because that's not right to have the kids living in the SUV. That's fucking crazy. You know? That's terrible. Your kids living in an SUV, nobody wants that. Let me go ahead and play. There was a dono earlier. Did we miss a donation? I think I missed the donation. Hold on a minute. It was from. I swear to God, I missed one. Didn't I see one in the chat earlier? Somebody donated earlier and it got missed, and it was a super chat. Let me just go take a look real quick. Because beautiful Bobby Eaton, I mean, Jim Cornette is going to pass out. Jim Cornette is going to have a coronary.
Smoke weed every day.
Tonight.
Hey, you.
Hey, yo. Hey, yo. It's me. Yo, what up, Ryan the Heel? He is Ryan the Heel. And he's coming to a theater near you. Ryan the Heel, thank you for the $4.20, man. Smoke up, baby. Smoke it. Smoke it till it's dead. That's what I always say. Smoke it till it's dead. Oh, boy. There's a lot to talk about. And this coffee needs to kick in even further for me to talk, because there's just so much bullshit. Ryan the Heel, thank you, man, so much for that. What's up, dude? Let me throw Ryan the Heel's name up on the board. So yeah, we lost, but like Jim Cornette's gonna have a fucking freak out tonight, because I mean this guy just loved Bobby. Ryan the Heel. Shit bomb. I'll give you the 5.
You become
I'll give you the 5.
a shit bomb.
He might cry.
I rather do lift.
I'd rather do lift, says Red Comment Man. Yeah, what's the difference? That's what I'm wondering. What's the difference? I told someone that the other day. It's like I know a few people living together who none of them have jobs. I know 3 people that live together, 3 or 4 people live together. None of them have jobs. And they were saying to me that they had to be careful because, they're having trouble paying for their house and stuff like that. Or the person that pays for the house is having trouble paying for the house. It's really close. We don't know what's going to happen and stuff. I'm like, wait a minute, correct me if I'm wrong. Are you 3 not working? It's like you 3 are doing nothing. And he's like, well, yeah, we collect whatever. And I'm like, but you're not working? It's like you could really solve this problem really quickly. If all of you just worked 2 days a week, you would make $1,000 a week. Like, that's crazy. Think about that. Imagine if you lived with 4 people that did nothing, and you guys were like, okay, I'm going to work 2 days a week, you're going to work 2 days a week, and you're going to work 2 days a week, and we're going to make $1,000 a week. Well, that's $4,000 a month. Solved. Problem solved. Shit, I solved the problem for them, and they still aren't doing it. They aren't going anywhere. It's crazy.
It was my dono that was missed.
Oh,
It was 4.99.
thank you, Gerald Armstrong. Oh, I see it now. I found it. Gerald, thank you, man. What's up? You just gave 30% to Google. Rest in peace, Bobby Eaton. Joe, you should do your own call of Colt Cabana and David Arquette's match. Why? Because is it not called? There's no commentary on it? Is that what you're saying? I could do that. That could be fun. I still can't believe Beyond Wrestling canceled Max Caster's appearance today. I am shocked by that.
Shit bomb!
Shocked.
You become a shit bomb.
The baby cancelled for homophobic slurs. Wow.
I saw that. The baby. What up, Clash with Spreeces? What up, Clash? Thank you, ma'am. Longer the drive, you get more money plus tips, says Red Comet Man. Lyft? Well, Lyft isn't food, though, right? Lyft is like Uber with people, whereas, I don't know that much about the baby. I gotta be honest. Except for one time my kids were, like, watching the memes of that, and that freaked me out. And I told them, like, stop doing this.
Shit bomb!
That was weird.
You become a shit bomb.
Yo.
Longer the drive, you get more money plus tips.
I mean, on DoorDash you get that, or I think it's depending on the place, like from DoorDash. So like DoorDash is like, Red Comment Man, thank you for the $2, man. What's up? I think on DoorDash it's like the place, right? Or I think isn't Uber Eats the more comparable thing, right? I think Uber Eats is more comparable. What about Instacart? What happens on Instacart? Because I order from Instacart all the time, or I used to when the pandemic was in the like full-on surge or whatever, and I feel like they made a lot more money, right? If you do DoorDash, right? And I've talked to a lot of people that have done DoorDash and Lyft and Uber Eats, and only a few people that have done Instacart. And from what I get with DoorDash is like, okay, if you go to a place 5 minutes away, so there's a place 5 minutes down the street that needs a pickup. You go pick it up, 5 minutes to get there, or 10 minutes to get there, whatever it is. But then you got to deliver it 15 minutes away. So you go 5 minutes to the place, 15 minutes to the delivery, and then if you want to go back to that spot, it's another 15 minutes. So you've almost done 45 minutes on one delivery. So what I understand is that like it's sort of like you're making like $17 an hour at DoorDash. Like if you're working during the busy time, it comes out to $17 an hour. If you're working during the slower times, then you're making $15, $16 an hour. That's what it seems like. 17, 18 if you're like really rocking it during the good times. But what about Instacart? Because Instacart is like, you go grocery shopping for somebody. You pick up all their stuff they need, right? But that whole thing takes 30 minutes, right? To go through the whole grocery store to get everything on the list or whatever. That takes like 30 minutes, if not more. Then you got to check out. Then you got to go deliver it to their house, wherever that is. But whenever I had ordered it, it always was a different person delivering it. It was never the person that it said. It'd be like, hey, Bill is picking up your order. And it's like some white guy who goes, and then like fucking Jamal shows up, or like it says like, oh, Antonio is picking up your order. And then some chick drops off the order. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, why? That's the only question I ever have. It's never the person in the picture. So I'm like, is there some kind of scam going on with this? Or like, what's happening here? So I don't know what's up with that. I don't know what the answer to that is. But I used to tip them like $15, $20, during the pandemic. I can't do that now. But, when things were going well and I was doing good and we were in the pandemic, I was like, man, you just went out to get my groceries during the pandemic. Like, I'm giving you at least $20, Sometimes, like, if I was doing well, it would, So I'm just wondering, like, because then that's like, okay, they made like $26, $27 from me. Now, did they also have a couple other orders that they did at the same time? So now are they going out and delivering 3 people's orders that they rounded up in the store? I don't know. I don't know how that works. But I know that assuming they went to the grocery store, picked up all the stuff, then delivered it to me, that took about an hour, right? They definitely made $27, right? Off. I don't know if other people only tipping them $4 or $5 or something, then maybe they're only making $10, $15 an hour. But I mean, for me, you're making like $28 because they're getting paid, I think, $8 to $10 from the app. And then if I'm giving them $10, $15, $20, they're getting plus that. So that's like $20, $30 something dollars. So it's like $30 an hour, right? So if other people are tipping them $10 or $15, like more likely, they're making $20 something an hour, $23 an hour. So you're making almost $200 a day for 8 hours. That's I think that's pretty good. That's like, you can make $60,000 a year if that's the case. But if you're doing DoorDash, that's $16 an hour, so that's $640. So that's more like $33,000 a year. So I feel like, isn't Instacart making you more money than DoorDash? Maybe somebody who does it is in the chat. Tail of the Tape says you got to pick and choose what orders you accept carefully. That's a good point. The thing is, gas is costly. Yes, gas is costly. Yes, it is. I did this a year ago, trying it out to see what the whole thing was, and like I was like, holy shit, your gas money is like fucking crazy. I have a Mazda. I would never do these jobs. I couldn't do these jobs because my Mazda would just eat the shit out of the gas. Okay, Aaron Embry. So that's what I was thinking. Maybe somebody at the store is working for DoorDash and Instacart so that they're actually the ones bagging the orders. So you don't even need to bag the orders. You just show up and pick up the orders and then you deliver them all. So that could be the case. So you're telling me that might be the case, that the people working at Stop and Shop or whatever the grocery store is, they're bagging the orders. And then when you get there, you're picking up somebody's order and then delivering it to them. So you didn't even need to do that part. You can use gas money as a tax write-off, but it's not a ton. Marshall Mathers LP. I'm not rich right now. I have no money for groceries today. My kid, my 5-year-old last night. Yeah, so my 5-year-old last night spent our last $100-something on Roblox. At some point he spammed the button to buy stuff, and I woke up this morning and was like, all right, I need to fix my phone. I'm gonna go get my phone fixed, and I'm gonna go get groceries because I'm gonna get groceries. And then I looked at my account and was like, oh, I have no money. And I found out that he spammed Roblox. And so we were calling them and everything, and they won't give the money back. So, yeah, that was my morning. So that's why it took me a while to get on the air, and that's why I think I tweeted, like, fuck this day or something like that. So, yeah, trust me, I don't have a bunch of money to order anything. There's no ordering going on. Fuck Caster, says somebody in the chat. Losers don't want to work. Yeah, it's a real crazy time right now. Nobody wants to work. But yeah, that's why I couldn't understand with some of the people like that I know that were saying that we're in trouble, but we're not working. I'm like, dude, why don't you guys go get a job anywhere? There's 3 of you. So if 3 of you go get a job for 2 days a week, 2, 4, 6, right? That's 6 days a week. You all can work 2 days. And if you all work 2 days and you all make a total, every day you work, you make $90, right? 90 times 6 is $540 a week, right? But they'd make more if they worked an honest day. If they worked an 8 or 9 hour shift doing one of these delivery services or working somewhere, they would make about $140 a day at least. At least. That's $840 a week, right? Times 4, that's $3,360. They are worried about losing their house. I talked about this weeks ago because they brought it up again to me. They were like, yeah, it's really bad now. Get a fucking job for 2 days a week. 2 days a week. 3 of you worked 2 days a week. That's $3,360. And do you know how much money that they're missing that they need to pay their stuff? They only need $2,000. They need $2,000. This would be $3,360. So they could even all work 1 day a week. If everybody just worked 1 day, right? That's whatever. Or if you worked 1 day, 1 week, 2 days, every other, like, well, that's a pretty good life. That's a pretty damn good life. You work 2 days a week and you're fine and you're good. Everybody gets a little pocket change, right? Because that leaves $1,300 left over, right? So if you divide that by 3, that's $430. So each one of you would get about $100 and something of spending money a week for yourself. Here, you get 100 and you work 2 days a week. The whole family pays for the house, and then you get $100 and something. I mean, that's pretty fucking ballsy. Think about it. That's not bad. Get to work. Put those people to work. No one's ever... Has anyone even thought of that, right? Who's in a situation right now, like, or whatever? Has anyone ever thought of that? It's like, that's a great idea. You can split it. If you're living with a bunch of people and only some of you are working or some of you are whatever, or even if you wanted, even if you wanted second jobs, right? Like, say everybody was working 40 hours a week, but you were like, man, I'm going to have to get a second job. But there's like 3 of you and you're thinking about everyone has to get second jobs and you think that's going to kill everybody and it's too much and everything. Well, everybody get a 1 or 2 day second job. That way you don't have to kill yourself and everybody can share it, you know? I don't know. There's crazy ideas out there now. It's weird. It's like the worst time ever, but yet one of the most opportunistic times, I guess. I don't know. I keep getting part-time jobs and then they end up going away, but I keep getting them and then losing them and then leaving and or things happen. It's been nuts for me. I have no idea what I'm doing. So, but I don't know. And maybe I don't have anything because I tip too much, but it happens.
Shit bomb!
Let's go to the shit bums.
You become a shit bum.
There is, but I like your calls better.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's commentary already. Yeah. Well, thank you, Gerald Armstrong. Sometimes I don't know, man. Sometimes when Booker T has really good announcers. I always talk about those guys. And I don't know, man. Like, Booker T has really good announcers. I like them. When I hear them call stuff, I'm like, yeah.
Shit bomb!
They're excited.
You become
I'm excited
a shit bum.
when I'm calling wrestling.
A lot of people work full-time and this 3 extra cash.
Yes, exactly. A lot of people are doing it for extra cash. Exactly. I mean, it's like when I worked at for Clark Shoes. When I did this show was my part-time job, you know, and I was doing that. And then and recently, you know, I've been working at other places. I'm doing a lot of lead generation stuff right now, but it's just, you don't see it right off the bat. You don't see it directly yet. You know, it takes 30 days to get paid on commissions. Take a while to get there. So, one thing that I'm pretty pumped about is that the Orville's coming back. I'm a big Orville fan. You know, Orville season 1 and 2 I thought were great. So I'm excited for Orville season 3, which apparently is going to have like 10 episodes, and the episodes are like 2 hours long. So that's insane. So that's something I would talk about. It's like Orville's basically Star Trek. I mean, Orville is better than Star Trek at this point. Is what really Star Trek should be. We got Ghostbusters trailer. That I'm excited about, even though it looks like it's the Ghostbusters kids movie version or whatever. I don't know. Like, it's like someone the other day said this. They were like on it was like some movie news channel, you know, like corporate one. Like, let's not talk about the 2016 Ghostbusters, but you know, the comedy of this, that. It was like, well, but that's not the comedy of Ghostbusters. You know, they sort of were like. They were saying that the 2016 Ghostbusters did its best to be like the original. And then they compared comedy takes, which was weird because it was like the comedy is nothing like this at all. While the show copied the plot of the first Ghostbusters, it had the comedy was a super different type of style.
Shit bomb!
Not even close to the same
You
style.
become a shit bomb.
I'm fortunate I'm about to get retirement pension. 70 disability from the VA with kids, which is $1,600, and housing allowance while in college thanks to the GI Bill.
Whoa. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's good for you, though, right? That's really helpful. That's crazy helpful. That's really awesome, then. So, I mean, it doesn't always work. It doesn't work out a lot for everybody. You know what I mean? I don't think, from what I understand. By the way, Gerald is the top dog now. It doesn't work out for everybody like that with, especially with the VA, not always. So that's pretty good. I've heard like some people are like, thank God for this, just like you mentioned with that. And then I've heard other people say like, oh, I was robbed or whatever. And I'm like, oh, there's such a discrepancy in how people feel about that stuff. I don't know the details about that very well. I don't know enough about it. I know that my mom is similar. She got my dad's work pension and whatever else, or whatever. My dad, even though he died when he was 48, he had all this coverage of stuff. Like, it was crazy. And I used to tell my mom that because when he died, he left us a lot of money, which we lost, basically. We threw it away because my mom started this business with a dickhead psycho, and a lot of the money just got wasted, basically. And my dad left us with $300,000, and my mother lost it all, spent it all or whatever. And I said, I'm surprised, he's got to have something, or whatever. And it was, 5 years ago? Or I think it was 5 years ago. In fact, it was on one of these shows. I was live at the time, and my mother called me telling me she was freaking out that she got his retirement pension plan or whatever. She was about to get it, and she didn't even know. So she was like, what was it? She turned 65 is what it was. She turned 65, and she'd gotten the phone call about it. Did you get the mail, and did you choose what bank account and all this other stuff? And she's like, what are you talking about? And they were like, oh, your husband's, you get his retirement pension or whatever it is. Whatever the hell, I don't remember the terms of everything now, but it was basically $2,500 a month. And she was like, what? So on top of her working right now, my mother works. My mother works and drives an hour into Boston to work. And she got, on top of that, got his pension or whatever it is. And I'm like, wow, that's fucking crazy. So that was insanely lucky. I was like, I knew there was some shit that he must have had because he planned everything out crazy. And, but my dad worked at Raytheon and all these computer companies, which is crazy, especially Raytheon because they're fucking psychos, right? That's Raytheon's horrific, it's crazy. They probably had him thinking he was designing a fucking computer algorithm for a computer or the electronical stuff for whatever the electronics for a computer pad or whatever, and really he was designing nuclear fucking he probably didn't know or whatever. He was like, oh yeah, you're designing the motherboard for a new joystick system that can integrate with an IBM and a video game or something. And he was like, okay. And so he's making the thing. Meanwhile, it was really so F-5 bombers or something can who the fuck knows over there, dude? I don't know, man. I don't mean Social Security. I mean my military retirement pension. Yeah, I know what you mean, Gerald. Yeah. I know what you mean. Radnick says the spouse usually gets part of the pension, then the full pension when they reach Social Security age. Yes, Radnick. So that's what it is. That is what it is. That's what it was, basically. My dad made a lot of money. Remember when we got that extra $600 weekly? I was pulling $1,000 a week. Jeffrey Streamer says, yeah, Jeffrey, that was crazy. That's why a lot of people weren't doing anything. They were like, I'll just sit at home. I'm not going to do anything. That's what people thought. Thank you, man. And Gerald Armstrong is our top dog. So last night I was watching. So I like to watch a lot of shit, right? You guys know this. I like to watch a lot of conspiracy stuff. You know, I don't believe everything, okay? I don't believe everything. I believe like not even half. But what I do is I enjoy the talk. And half the time, if somebody's talking about bullshit, I'll be like, okay, like, even though I don't think what they're saying is real or true or whatever, even though that's the case, I will learn a bunch of shit about stuff. And sometimes there's a few things that I learn that are important that I didn't know about. And one of the funniest things ever to me was this guy on YouTube. His name is called Bright Insight. Bright Insight. This guy believes. So what he does a lot is he talks about how, Egypt is much older than we think, and all these things are these older things than we think, and we don't know, and whatever. And I was loving watching this guy, but as I'm watching him, I'm always thinking like, this is not, like, what you're doing isn't true or right or wrong. It's wrong, or you're jumping to assumptions about shit. It's so weird. And I was like, I had to send it to Leah. And, Leah picked it apart like crazy and was like, you want to know why that's wrong? And then Leah would go into why. And I'm like, man, Leah destroys this guy. But one of the things that I didn't need Leah for was the other day we were watching this. And I busted out laughing my balls off. Because in one video, he's like, here's how things are similar in the earth or whatever. Like, it's like just so circumstantial. But then in another video, he's like talking about the Egyptians, and he's like, how could they make these tombs and these rocks and stuff with just a rock? And they start banging on the rock. And you'll see what I mean in a second. I'm gonna show you exactly what I'm talking about. So here's the video, and this guy is fucking hilariously obnoxious. It's like I love this guy in a way, but I don't. He's ridiculous. This guy's 1 million subs.
What I'm about to show you will likely blow your mind because.
And he's always talking about like, what I'm gonna show you will blow your mind. This is absolutely unbelievable, and it's like it's really not.
Because by the end of this video, you will have seen overwhelming evidence that a mysteriously long-lost ancient human civilization once spanned virtually our entire planet. And the implications of that are incredible, because it means that what we were taught in school, and is still being taught and written about in the textbooks, is like really off from what actually occurred in our human history, which is both.
So he says that, and it's like, oh wow, what's he about to tell us? But really, then he just goes into a bunch of videos that are like, look, the pyramid steps are the same everywhere, like in whatever. And then he says, skyscrapers all around the world, we mimic each other because, somebody created the first skyscraper in Chicago, and so the rest of the earth now has skyscrapers. So he thinks it was a global society way back when that we don't know about, which it could be. That could be true. But his video is just so like, it's like, look, people built pyramids. Like, okay, this is the most basic structure that humans can make. We're all humans with the same genetic code, with the same capabilities. Like, we all learn to walk at some point. We all learn to do this. Like, at one point he goes into doorways. He's like, look at these wall structures.
I'll be discussing more of in a moment, but
he's like, look, these wall structures are all the same. They're all the same in like 5 different places. How could they do this in Japan and in Peru and in this other place? So he basically goes into like, oh, look at these wall structures. These are like Egypt, Peru, and Japan. Wow. Like, oh my God. Like, and it was like, okay, so humans like fucking stack blocks. Like, that's like the most basic thing. Like, that people go, look, I put block on other block. Like, this isn't, to me, this doesn't prove that we were all connected and learned from each other, like back in the day. It doesn't not prove that either. It just doesn't prove it though. It's just like, okay, what the fuck? And then he's like, look, Egypt and this other place have this tomb. See this tomb on the left and right? That's Japan, that's Egypt. They weren't connected at the time. They had no idea about each other. They supposedly didn't know about each other. But look at their sarcophaguses are similar. It's like, well, but that doesn't mean that they actually did connect and that there's some mystery thing. They just fucking built graves for people. Like another thing that we all do. Like that we all could just decide to do. Body dies, I put it in box in ground. It seems to be something people do. It's just built up in their makeup. Then he goes into these things. Anyway, again, this is all so circumstantial, but he's like doing the Ancient Aliens thing where he's like, this is unbelievable. We knew each other. We knew there's something to this. How did this happen on Easter Island and in Peru? How did they build these similar structures? It's like, dude, they put blocks on top of each other. So let me get to the point of this video of what I'm ranting about here. And I like this guy still, but it's just like, I don't believe that it's this obvious, you know? So now he's about to show you Egyptian sculptures right here. So now he's going to compare an Egyptian sculpture here to like an Indian look of something from India. And he goes on to talk about these. Look at the craftsmanship of these. They're all very similar. Like they all are similar. But it's like, what do you mean they're all similar? The Egyptians fucking blew these guys away. Like, so he thinks that we're all connected because we all did this. Like, this is, there was some global society back then. And it's like, dude, first of all, if there is, they didn't learn from the Egyptians very well because look at the Egyptians' work. The Egyptians' metalworking was insane. Look at this. This is metalwork over there on the left. We're talking about they're melting shit and sculpting stuff. And on the right, it's more of like banging with a hammer more. Like, look at how beautiful the Egyptians were compared to Greece and Peru. I think you'd have a better chance of talking about how advanced Egyptians were compared to everybody else at this time because these are all from the same time period, right? Look at the Egyptians blowing it away. But I show you this to now show you his next video where he basically says in his other video, another video later on, he goes on to say, like, there's no way that the Egyptians built the pyramids because they didn't have the tools necessary to do it. And let me show you what I mean.
The ancient Egyptians are far more mysterious than most people realize, as they left us...
No, they're not. They're like the most fucking studied thing there is.
...with literally zero explanation of any kind as to how they cut and carved the tens of millions of stone blocks that make up the pyramids and the countless thousands of solid stone statues and obelisks that have been...
So now he goes on to say, we have no idea how the Egyptians carved stone and manipulated stone. So now he goes to a location with a bunch of people and says, we tried to simulate what it would be like back then to cut and carve the stone with rocks that they would have used. And now watch this.
This is what we need, a whole team.
Look, it's having no effect on the rock. How could they have done any of this?
Oh my god.
I mean, they are getting into it, but man, that was...
Are you arthritic yet?
It's starting to suck. It's starting to suck. It's really starting to suck.
It hurts, Mark?
They use tools, you fucking idiot. They use fucking tools, you fucking idiot. This guy, they didn't bang rocks on rocks. You just showed in your other video the unbelievable metalworking, which was used by wedges and pickaxes and steel rods. Not fucking boom, boom. Like, dude, you're fucking showing... What you're showing is caveman stuff. You're showing the caveman. This is caveman, not the Egyptians.
This is literally...
How could you not know this? You actually went there. This guy went there and doesn't know this. How could they craft with precision metalworking this Egyptian photo that you yourself said, look at how amazing this is, and then in another video around the same time period you say, how could they have shaped and carved the rocks look at how hard it is. Boom, boom with rock. You idiot asshole. What a retard. They had fucking tools. Let's find them. Let's take a look at some of the tools. I believe these are some of them. I could be wrong. Apparently these are some of the tools. Those are some of them. Where's some more? I mean, dude. I want to say that
You become
here's another one.
a shit bomb.
They had plenty of sophisticated tools during the Bronze Age.
Exactly, Gerald Armstrong. Exactly. This guy's on crack. Here's one of them. Thank you, Gerald Armstrong. Thank you, man, for the donations. Here's one, allegedly. But they're sitting there banging rocks onto rocks. Oh, my God. They had wedges and things. And by the way, where's the video? Okay, so this is what they're talking about. This was, I don't know the full details of this, but this was one of those obelisks or things that they built. And what happened is they actually went to take it out. This was the biggest obelisk they were ever going to make. Like, this was the biggest one. They tried to do the biggest one, bigger and bigger and bigger than any other one they'd ever made. And it cracked as they tried to get it out, they think. So they just left it. That's why they never ended up raising this out of the ground. Because they were like, oh, shit. They tried to go big, and they had to go home, the Egyptians. And so they just left it here. And the guy's like, look at the fine curves. Look at the precision of the sides of the walls and stuff. It's like, yeah, they took fucking steel and shit and were like, boom, 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 hammering it until it was even all around. Plus, this stone that they hammered on here isn't as thick as the other stone anyway. But it's just like, I get it, though. Like, I still think weird shit about Egyptians and back in the day, and I wonder myself about stuff. I definitely think that Egypt is older than we think, and that stuff goes back further than we know. And I do think there was some kind of connection that we don't know about and how the world worked back in the day. We definitely don't know. There's definitely some missing history that's wicked interesting. But this made me die laughing. The fact that he was like, in another video around the same time, was like, yo, look at how amazing the craftsmanship of Egyptians was. And then, like, he's like, look at this.
Duncachino?
Don't mind if I do.
They used rocks.
What's my name? Duncachino.
It's a whole new game.
Duncachino.
You want creamy goodness? I'm your friend. Say hello to my chocolate blend.
I genuinely don't get the hate for new metal. I feel like it's a great genre that brought a lot of innovation to metal and a lot of bangers.
Yeah, I think people got sick. It's like anything. WWE is number one. It's like anything. You get sick of it, you know what I mean? Like, and it gets shit on. It's like disco, right? Disco was like fire at one point, right? It was like disco, everybody disco everywhere. But after about 8 years of disco, people were like, fuck this, you know? It's the same thing, I think, with new metal.
Duncachino.
I believe.
Don't mind if I do.
Thank you for the donut.
What's my
Thank you.
name?
Or no one.
Duncachino.
It's a whole new game.
Duncachino.
You want creamy goodness? I'm your friend. Say hello to my chocolate blend.
I love bands like Disturbed Corn, Slipknot and Limp Bizkit. No, I'm not trolling. I'm dead serious. New metal is my favorite music genre. Yes, I'm black.
I see, you may be right, but maybe, but neither does he. Thank you, WWE is number one. I'm just like, I turn it, it's like a guilty pleasure thing. I've noticed, let me tell you this. I'll tell you this, being 37 now, some of the older people listening know what I'm talking about. Anybody 30 years old and older knows what I'm talking about. Or maybe 35 and older. Thank you for the donation. By the way, if you guys want to donate, there's a link for Streamlabs at the top of the chat. Use that link if you want. And You can, all the donation amounts are listed down below. You guys can try dropping a funny dono or something like that. Say something funny, drop a topic, drop whatever you want, do whatever, and I'll get the money today and I can go buy tampons and food. So that'll be fun to buy food today because I'm kind of hungry. But thank you for the super chats. I just won't get them till the 20th. No, what's up? Kiss the Disco song. What up, Drew Chronic? How you doing, man? Got the life, corn. No, so it's like this. Do you remember at some point in the late 90s or early 2000s, there'd be references to 80s metal, right? 80s hair bands. It'd be like, it's my guilty pleasure. And it was like silly that somebody liked an 80s metal band or a Twisted Sister or something like that. You remember that? You know what I mean? There was like a weird, like, oh, I still like hair metal. Like, it's like weird. And then in the 90s, it was disco, right? In the early 90s, mid 90s, people would shit on disco like crazy. We shit on disco. We were like, fuck disco, right? And then after that, it was like, fuck 80s hair metal after that, right? And then I want to say during the nu metal era, I kind of think we sort of shit on grunge a bit, right? But the grunge era didn't last as long, but I feel like that was the point where we made fun of grunge, you know? But not really. Grunge actually got off pretty easy for some reason. We didn't shit on grunge as much. Grunge just kind of softly took tiptoed out of the room, you know? Grunge was like slowly like, all right, I'll see you later. I'll be all right. You know, like, because even Icy MK, thank you for saying that, man. I agree. I am not an expert. And there are things that he's right about, and I like that he opens my mind a bit, but he also is ridiculous. That's the thing about Bright Insight. And he has almost 2 million subscribers. And I'm retarded, and I just showed you, like, how dumb that is. There's the tools, bro. We know what tools they used. They didn't take rocks and boom, boom, bang on stone. I'm sure they took rocks and banged on stone at the end to smooth out the sides. That's how you could get a nice smooth surface at the end. But to get those edges to be manipulated and to break the rock up, they were using wedges and hammers and wedges. Boom, boom, wedges. Like, they were doing crazy. No, come on. Like, I think there's a lot of mysterious shit about the Egyptians and back in the day, and stuff is definitely older than they say. And, you know, all the scientists and geologists and people, like, they stick to something and then they stick with it forever because it's their job. Like, you know, their job's on the line if they were wrong. So for 30 years, they lie about something until a new person comes along and can start picking holes in the whole thing. So I do think that we don't know as much as we think we know, but there are some things that, listen, dude, we definitely know that, though. Like, I mean, like, come on. So I think that's the thing. But yeah, you're right. I'm not qualified to tell you what is and what isn't. In fact, Leah knows a lot more than I do. But that was one thing that I saw with my own eyes and was like, all right, well, that's not, you know. But, you know, what's more interesting is, like, how they lined up pyramids and things with space and astrology and stuff like that. It's like these people were either super into astrology and into the stars and everything, like, amazingly. Because the way they line stuff up is insane. So it's kind of like something was known or something was back in the day was up. That we knew a lot about a lot of shit or something. Like, it's too weird. But, you know, the fact that they thought, oh, how did they build this with rocks? You know, somebody else must have done it. You know, maybe somebody else. I for a while, you know what I thought was, I always thought that we found a few pyramids. I always thought that like a few pyramids existed and we tried to copy it. I always thought that, like, they saw them and so they copied it, and it became a thing that people copied because they were like, this is amazing, but they didn't really do it. That was something I always thought. And so, you know, maybe that there's something to that. But as far as, you know, banging on rocks or rocks, I mean, that doesn't make any sense. You know, but there are some, but I agree that some things are cut. Like, you can't believe how they did some of the things. And so that I'm interested in, but using the example of they couldn't have done this because they were banging rocks on rocks and it doesn't do anything. It's like, well, that's not true. That's not what they used. They had tools, you know? So, but there are some things that they crafted that we have no idea. Like, it's just insane. You know, like, remember the Crystal Skull stuff with, I know that people saw Indiana Jones, but the Crystal Skulls were insane when they found those. I mean, how the hell did they make those? I mean, they might have had some way that we don't understand, you know, or a way that we make things that they figured out, or a way that they figured out how to do something that we don't know. But those Crystal Skull things are pretty crazy. There's a lot of things like that. Didn't they study it for in MIT? They couldn't figure out. Dude, I love DDP. So I you know, once in a while I go around and message people to see what's up, see if they want to come on the show. It's been a while since I've had someone on for an interview. So I'm like, let me hit up DDP. It's been a while since I had DDP on. In fact, it's been 6 years since we had DDP on the show. 7 years. And I reached out to DDP. You know, and then he responds with, you know, hey, you know, email this person so we can get it going. And I can, you know, because he doesn't want to do his own schedule. He's got someone that schedules everything. So he's like, yeah, email this person, you know. And I'm like, hell yeah, all right, sounds good. And then like 3 days go by, right? I have not emailed the person, but I'm gonna email them, but I haven't yet. But three days goes by since we've had our DMs, which is fine. We had a good little conversation. Hey, like to have you on the show. It's been a while. Hey man, what's up? Sounds good. Yeah, just email this person, and we'll get it rolling. Okay, sounds good. Thanks. Bye. All right. 3 days go by. I get a DM this morning. It's just says bang. Oh shit. Oh. He's wearing the pants, forgetting his pen, forgetting his friends. Is this how it ends? But we're still pretend. It's a weekend at Biden's. No matter what they say, we can make it talk today. Here he goes, and these are ways. Oh shit! With all of the Nazis, communism and China's great. It's America he hates.
Have you heard that WWE is concerned that SummerSlam might be cancelled?
Yeah.
What's your take?
Okay, so I heard this. I even thought this. I was like, oh, man, they could be in trouble with SummerSlam. I heard from several wrestling news outlets. And by the way, thank you, Gerald Armstrong, because that is now you top dogged yourself. Also, that's really PayPal money, so I can actually use that to buy lunch today. So thank you, Gerald Armstrong. I love you. Thank you, man. Thank you guys for the donations, bro. I was gonna record this and put it up on Patreon, but I figured I'd go live since I'm poor. But no, so I've several news sites and several people who are in the know have said that the word is that SummerSlam's a go, regardless of what happens. Like, it's like grandfathered in at this point. So that's sort of the word that I got. No worry about SummerSlam. I even said it to a guy on a DM, a wrestling journalist person on a DM, and said, you know, yeah, but unless something happens to SummerSlam. And this guy said to me, SummerSlam's fine, no matter what. Like, trust me on that. From what I've heard, he talked to WWE, and I'm like, okay. So, and I'm telling you several people, okay? This isn't just Bumble shit or whatever on Twitter. Several people that are real, that really do stuff, that really talk to people. I don't talk to people. They really talk to people. They have said to me that this is happening. Like, there is no way out of this. There's contracts in place so that this is not going to be a problem. And even if other things were shut down, this thing would be allowed to roll. That's what I'm hearing. So that's what they heard, and that's what I'm saying to you. So SummerSlam should be a go no matter what. I did not think so. I thought, SummerSlam's in jeopardy. And then when people with high-end positions in the media of wrestling DM me to say it's going to be fine because it's like grandfathered in, basically. I'm like, ooh, okay. That's a pretty solid thing to say. So if something changes, I'll be surprised. Very surprised. Like, if those people had not DM'd me, I would have not been surprised at all. I would have said, of course. Of course this is going to be canceled or whatever. Or it's going to be, whatever it is. But now I feel a whole different way. I'm like 90% sure SummerSlam's happening, 95% sure SummerSlam's happening, where before I was about 70%. So, yeah, so it looks like SummerSlam is going to take place. Now, if it doesn't, all these people are wrong. And these are people, These are like the top 5 type of news people that have to do with WWE. They're wrong. That is unprecedented for them to be wrong about that. And for a couple of them to reach out to me and say, specifically to tell me, like, it's on, don't worry. Thank you to them, by the way, because I said, holy shit. One of the guys that I talked to, I went, wow, holy shit, what's up? And now maybe they're doing that for WWE. Maybe WWE is worried people are going to think SummerSlam's canceled, so they want to get the word out to all the people to tell everybody that don't worry, it's happening. Maybe. I don't know. Because some of these people I'd never really talked to. Some of them I thought didn't like me, and I was surprised I heard from them. So that's what made me go, holy shit, okay, there's something to this. I didn't just see this on PW Torch, like page 3. I didn't just hear this from WrestleVote's Twitter posting. I didn't even just hear this from Rajiri even. I heard it from a few other people that's a notch above that. So, I don't know. That's good news, I think, for us. By the way, Ron DeSantis in Florida just shitting on Biden the other day. He was like, come and get me, Biden. That was crazy. I'm worried for AEW. I think shutdowns could happen again. ICMK, you're right. I'd be worried too. It's hard for me because I'm not an extreme person. If you guys know what I'm talking about. I don't want to live in Texas or Florida where we say, F it all, we're barely going to pay attention to this. I don't want to live there, but I don't want to live in California or New York where they're mandating the shit out of you and controlling the hell out of you and being psycho. It's the thing doesn't kill 50% of the people or 40% of the people or 30% of the people. I would move to those measures if that were the case. I mean, talk about Operation Lockstep. But no, I'm sort of happy that I'm in Massachusetts because I think I vibe with Massachusetts better where I actually happen to live, which is like, okay, like it's up to you guys what you want to do. But, in a hospital, you're going to have to wear a mask or, in a nursing home, if you're coming to visit, you have to certain protocols. If you're meeting with a loved one at a nursing home, you have to go into this room or outside if you're not vaccinated. And if you are vaccinated, we suggest you think about wearing a mask, but when you're with your loved one in the room, you don't have, there's like certain things, but they're not crazy. That's me. That is so me. Like, I believe in science and I like science, but science is always changing and moving, and science is about discovering the next best answer. But if you roll with the first answer because of science, it could end up killing more people than it will once you find out the real science. So you can't just say science because it doesn't mean truth 100%. It's the search for truth. And if you find like we've given this example a million times. It's like when you find an answer to something, oh my God, I found the cure for the common cold. Everybody take this. I found the cure for the common cold. Everybody take this. And some guy's like, I don't want to take that. I don't know about it yet. It's brand new. I don't know. And then you're like, you're crazy to not take it. And then everybody that takes it for the common cold, in 10 years, 30% of them develop Alzheimer's. And you find out that there's a protein that mutates inside the vaccine that clings to your papyrogy gland in the upper respiratory circuit and develops into a ball that attaches itself to your brain that starts to degrade cognitive disability. You know, like, these things happen all the time because the world's amazing and biology's insane and the body is amazing, and one little effect can have all these effects. So it's like that can happen. That shit happens. So that's why people are skeptical of stuff. But I also, I don't believe in making everybody have to do things either. You have to let people have to come to their own. I want to get the vaccine. People have to want to get it, and people have to decide they want to get it. If you want people to actually be free, so people are just going to have to decide they want to do it, and you're going to have to. And you can't come up with songs and campaigns that are going to make people do it. It's just going to make it worse. You're going to make people think you're trying to manipulate them. So it's going to freak people out even more. So I don't know. I happen to like being in the middle ground of whatever. Florida and Texas are like, nope. And New York and California are like, yo, we'll lock you down right now. Let's go. So I don't want to be in, I don't know if I can't really I don't fit into either one of those categories. I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle of like limbo. So it sucks, man. I got anxiety over it. I have full on anxiety over it. I don't want to not know what to do. I want to know what to do, and I don't know what to do, and it's freaking me out. I wish that I was one of the people on the left or right. I wish I was one, because if I was, I would be way more confident and comfortable with the world. I would be like, getting that, absolutely. Why don't you get it? I'm good to go. Let's go. Like, all done. I did it, and now it's over. Or if I was like, nope, not getting that. Don't talk to me about it. Stay away from me. I'm not doing that. I'm free as fuck. Fuck you. I'm out. That'd be easier if I was one of those two things, because then I'd be like, oh, that's it. But instead, I'm sitting here like, and it's like, dude, that sucks. This sucks. Like, this blows.
Duncachino?
Don't mind if I do. What's my name?
Duncachino!
It's a whole new game.
Duncachino!
You want creamy goodness? I'm your friend. Say hello to my
chocolate blend.
We can map out a space easier than the 2% of the world's bodies of water. The deeper you go in the ocean, the scarier the creatures.
That's true. That is true. Mickey K9, what's up? Dude, what's in the water is terrifying. Like, I watched a guy scuba dive the other day down in this area, and I'm like, man, like, you don't know what the hell's going to pop out of there. Like, the ocean is fucking crazy. The ocean is out of its mind. There are some crazy things.
Shit bum.
The government has lied to people for years. That's why people are skeptical, and I don't blame them.
Exactly, Gerald. So part of me thinks, okay, the government has lied to us for years. And whenever it's a big event, they lie too. There's always a reason behind it, right? Like, like 9/11 happened, and we were like, why did 9/11 happen? And then we're at war in Iraq, and you're like, oh, this is why 9/11 happened. So we could do this. I got suckered. They suckered me. So I'm wondering now, I'm like, how are we going to be suckered now? But also it's like, if this was a bad thing, if the vaccine was a bad thing, I feel like they would give it to the poor people then. All these poor people would get it. Instead, we're all getting it, and there's a bunch of it, and they did it, and it's everywhere. But like, there's poorer countries that are begging for it. So part of that makes me think like it's very legitimate, because why would they're doing it? You know what I mean? If it wasn't, but who knows? I have no idea, man. Anyway, I'm not even, that's all I'll talk about it, because people will get angry on one side or the other side. just for me questioning everything, because that's all I'm doing. I question it all. I don't know. So, some vaccines really work. Some vaccines have been horrible for people because they've been wrong or they didn't do it right, or it helps everybody overall, but it might kill a few people. Polio vaccine worked out pretty well, but I mean, at first it killed 1 million people because they screwed up something, but after that, the polio vaccine worked out really well. We've all got it. We've all got polio vaccines. We've got tetanus shots. There were some flu vaccines that worked out. Some, they barely work now. There's a bunch that have worked out that have helped. But there's definitely some that don't work either. Just like everything, because there's a yin and the yang in everything, right? In the world, everything is like this. If you make 100 things that are good, there's gonna be some that are wrong, bad, or don't work. So, my pal says 33% of vaccines are saline, 33% are actual vaccines, and 33% are death within 3 years. What? What does that mean, Jennifer? Are you talking about like they're mixing up the vaxes? What? Jennifer says, my pal says 33% are saline. So what, you're not really getting anything out of it? And then 33% are actually the vaccine. And then 33% are death within 3 years. Where do those numbers from? So, in other words, you think it's like the population control thing? Like, you think it's like this is a way to get population control? Is that what you mean? Like, the way to hide it is for the thing to... Because if you're talking about 8 billion people times 33%, that gets rid of like 2 billion people. I don't know. What up, Gerald? Yeah, so you went with the J&J, which is the classic style. I don't know. That doesn't sound right to me, though, Jennifer. I mean, if you believe in some kind of depopulation conspiracy, that's definitely true. But yeah, why would they want to kill the obedient people? Maybe. Huh? He thinks the vaccines are population control. Oh, okay, yeah. But we'd have to have the numbers. So we'd have to, I guess. But see, that's the thing is, you'll only know that now over the next 3 years, right? So so think about that though, right? Think about that if that were true. That means that 3 billion people, or no, not that many, because that many people aren't taking it, but okay, that means that like 1.5 billion people. That means that in 3 years, 1.5 billion people will be gone, right? Right now, according to the numbers right now, I know what you're saying, it's a delayed reaction, right? So that they can't just, oh my God, in 30 days, somebody gets sick, because then people would know, they'd start to be like, I'm not taking that. So it's like a delayed reaction. It's too late, basically. That's what you're saying? I get what you're saying. But so that would mean, though, that a billion people would drop in 3 years. That would be crazy. That'd be crazy. But listen, I don't have a problem with him thinking that, because I think everybody should keep their minds open. Just try to think about why you're thinking, like, what's the proof behind that, right? Like, think about what's the proof behind it, though. Like, that could be a paranoid thought that you have that you're, like, worried about, which is okay. I think it's fine to think things. But then you have to go down the rabbit hole of why is that true? Why is that something you think is true? Where does the proof lead to that? And you can find a little bit of it, like a little bit of like circumstantial evidence to it or reason to believe a motive of that, but it's hard to sort of prove that. Great Reset is a good idea, Gerald. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. That is something that our leaders talk about and is a real thing. When you say, it's funny, when you first say Great Reset to somebody who doesn't know about it, they think that, oh, wow, nice conspiracy theory. And you're like, well, our leaders talk about it. And then they think you're saying you're just making up a name for something. I'm like, no, they say it by the name. Want to see the video? And then you show them a video of the politician saying Great Reset. So, I don't know. But if anything, in my opinion, the conspiracy isn't that they're doing that. The only reason why they would be doing that is if they know something about planet Earth that we don't know. They know something about planet Earth and about our materials and that we don't. Like, they've done the math, right? So do the math on how much materials are left on the Earth. And if you do the math between the global warming stuff or the changing of the planet and what resources we have, how much silicon is there? How much, how many computer systems can we keep making? Like, how long can we keep going with all this stuff? So if world leaders and rich people beyond our knowledge and know have done the math and said, we are going to run out of resources in 20 years at this rate. But if there were 1 billion less people or 3 billion less people, we would have enough resources for 80 years. And at that point, we would have developed new technology and new ways of doing everything that we would be able to sustain life. But at this point, we are going to hit a crash wall in 10 to 20 years where there'll be massive famine, massive panic, everybody will be out of everything, and our societies will shut down because people will be too focused on surviving right now to think about developing future technologies and stuff that we need to keep developing. So the only way to stop that is we need like 3 billion people to go, and we need future generations to not produce over 1 billion people. And that will give us 80 years to have created new ways of running everything. So that's basically what I'm saying to you would be a real reason why we would create something to do something like that. Because the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, like Spock said. And imagine somebody in a boardroom said, hey guys, there's no way around this. In 15 years, we're out of shit. We're done. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody said that, like, here's the math. We are done. Like, this is going to be crazy. So in my opinion, the answer to all this is we need to get working on how to how to get off this planet. We need to get working on how we can mine what we can mine from asteroids or rather comets or debris, space. What can we mine in space to fuel Earth? And what can we do to do that? That should be all of our effort should be that. All of our effort should be leaving the planet, colonizing another planet, fine, that's something even further down the road. What we need to be worried about is how we can get resources off of another planet to our planet. What are the resources that are going to help us? What's going to save us? What's going to allow us to continue? That's what we need to worry about. Not, oh, shit. We're going to run out of materials here. Oh, well, depopulate. Well, unless they've already thought of that. Like, listen, we're not going to be ready. By the time we're coming up with how we can go terraform or how we can go grab materials from other places and bring them back here on Earth, by the time we're into that or we're getting close to that, it's too late. On Earth is chaos because we're out of all the materials. I don't know. I don't know if we're really going to run out of materials. They can't get a cure for cancer. Cancer's more complicated. We do have many cures for cancer at this point. We do have a few cures for cancer. We have a few cures for some cancers. Take Roman Reigns' blood cancer, for instance. Although it's not a full cure, I guess, he takes that medication that suppresses it, that never allows it to develop, so that the blood can't produce it, be filled with it, and then it leak into organs where it would grow, right? So his cancer is suppressed or whatever. So I don't know. We have these, and then there's other cancers we can cure a little bit, and we know that some of it is like marijuana has properties that heal. I'm sure there's other cures that we don't talk about or know about, or they don't talk about, or they won't let us have because the medical industry is too big.
Titan, a moon of Saturn, has lakes of essentially gas.
Yes, the moons of Saturn and a lot of moons have a lot of things, right? We don't even need to land on a planet. We just need the moons. That's a great point, Gerald. Problem is, how feasible is it to get off our planet, get into space, get to Titan, farm that gas, and bring it back? Right? It would cost us more money to get off the planet, get into space, get to Titan, all to bring back a small amount or minor amount of gas. Right? So that's the problem. But if money didn't mean anything as much on Earth, if money didn't mean as much, then we could do it, because we would say, okay, we will take this much fuel to get there. We'll be taking home precious other gases, Then we'll have to work on finding the fuel. But right now the math doesn't add up, because it would cost more money to get there to bring back material that would sell for less than it would cost to get up there, right? Am I right? Maybe I'm wrong, but I think I'm right. So that would result in the world needing to stop needing money. We would need to be Star Trek, right? In Star Trek, there's no more money, right? People work to better themselves and to better society and to live. They don't work to make money. Time travelers are coming back, Ratnick. What's up? What's up, Fallen God? I know I'm really going into the science here. I'm going into the fucking weird. I'm really going into some shit here. What are we doing? But thank you guys for the donations, because at least I'll be able to go to the grocery store. So that's cool. What the fuck? I don't know what I've been talking about. I've really been babbling on. Let me go to the donations, though. Let's see here. We got another one popping in, I think, but I got to fix the screen. There it goes. I figured it out. I mean, I'm stupid, but I shouldn't be dumb enough to get the thing up on the screen. There we go.
Did you just donate to Joe?
Oh, Broken Ambrose.
Did you just donate to Joe? Thank you for the donation. And because you donated, I'm going to fist myself in the bunghole.
Okay, Broken Ambrose says, good to see you. Still at it. Been a minute. I've been around. Rest in peace to beautiful Bobby. He was an integral part of my wrestling childhood and will be surely missed. Broken Ambrose, it's good to hear from you, man. What's been up? Holy shit, man. Goddamn Broken Ambrose. And he just took over Gerald Armstrong's spot. Gerald Armstrong has collectively donated the most during this stream. I will say that. But I go by the top one-time drop. But I did want to give Broken Ambrose that shout-out because he has donated a lot during this stream. But Broken Ambrose has taken over Gerald Armstrong's spot. Isn't there some type of monetary incentive in Star Trek? Remember bounty hunters? Yeah, it's weird. There's some kind of credit system. And I came up with this. Now, hear me out. I came up with my idea of this dystopian world. And I said this on a stream, what was it, a year ago, a year and a half ago, or 2 years ago? I came up with this dystopian future where I believe it would be a great thing for like a sort of a, I guess it would end up being a class system in some way, but more like a video game. Like you could pick and choose like a video game where you put your stats, right? And every year your stats would refresh. If that makes any sense to you guys, do you know what I'm saying? Like a skill tree in a video game or a stat tree in a video game. So like let's say you're a doctor, right? You're a doctor, and you go and you get your education and you become a doctor, and you're a brain surgeon or you save children's lives as a doctor. You would get a tier system of like, you don't have to work as long as other people if you don't want to. So if you're a doctor, you will only have to work 20 years if you want, 15 to 20 years. And you could also elect to barely work, right? Like, so after 10 to 15 years of solid service, you would only have to work 1 to 2 times a week if you want. And you would still get your credits that like in a good way. So it's sort of like you're very valuable to society. Therefore, you get some extra credits and perks potentially. And you could decide which perk you wanted to focus on. And you said, all right, I'm going to select, food and clothing. And so you select food and clothing. So you get more than the average person in food money and clothing money, right? And on top of that, you can retire earlier. You can retire at 50 years old, or you can retire at 40 years old, or you can semi-retire at 35 or 40 years old because you were so important to society and you did such a good thing that if you work 5 to 6 days a week for 10 years, you're able to take a step back later on. And, or maybe you decide, I don't want the food perk or the clothing perk. I want the living perk, the home perk. I want a little bit bigger property or a little bit bigger home, so you can select that. All these, like a skill tree in a video game. And so that's how you work off of. Say you're a janitor though. You're a janitor, you're cleaning up stuff, but you're not giving as much back to society, but you're important. I would think someone like that, you could work less. So you would have to work longer throughout your life, but less per week, right? So you would only have to work like 25 hours a week, but you would be working till you're like 50 for sure as a janitor or whatever you're involved in. And, you could select your perks and, if you decided to work more, or if you decided to take a secondary job, like here's my regular job, it's 20 hours a week, it's a janitor. But for 10 hours a week, I volunteer, or not volunteer because everything is like volunteer, but you decide like, okay, for 10 hours a week, I pick up trash on the side of the road, or I do recycling work down at the recycling plant. Like then you would get extra perks of like, okay, and over the years, they add up. So after 5 years, when you fill up a tier, you're able to purchase a vehicle, right? Or you're able to purchase a better vehicle. Now, this is super dystopian, and I know most of us don't like this. We like freedom and, capitalism. I'm just saying, what if? Like, essentially, this is Star Trek, right? A lot of you guys love Star Trek. I do too, but this is what it is. And so people would be hopefully better taken care of. We would progress as a society better. You would be living and working to better ourselves. We would also not kill ourselves as much. We wouldn't have to work 2-3 jobs and die to do whatever. But at the same time, there's still a reason to do more because you still do get more perks. What I'm trying to do with this idea is trying to put us all into an even playing field, but still allowing bonuses for working harder and smarter, but also trying not to create a class system, trying to limit the class system still, right? Like, oh, you're a janitor. My father invented, my father is a doctor. You're just a janitor. So I'm trying to sort of see how that could create a class system and sort of try to try to eliminate the class system, but there's still going to be classes. It's still going to happen a little bit, but trying to sort of eliminate it a little bit. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to envision how do we do Star Trek? How do you do Star Trek? Well, that's how you do it. That's how it goes. Joe's a communist, says Ratnick. Yes. No, but no communism, though. Like, we don't want communism, though. We don't want communism. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Would you do that and put it on, like, some planet where everyone decided they wanted to go live that way? I don't know. They have 7 years of education to be a doctor, says Gerald. Yeah, and see, so then what would happen is, you would sacrifice some credits at that time. That 7-year period would almost be like a monk. You know what I mean? You're kind of sacrificing to be a doctor, because then you only be a doctor for 15, 20 years and whatever. I don't know. Joe's a communist. It really is kind of like that. But it's hard. I'm just trying to picture Star Trek. How do you do Star Trek? Is that how you do it? How else do they do it? And you have leaders and you have people making decisions, and we all, make decisions together. That's how you get there, though, right? I mean, how else do you get there? Unless you have the capitalists, unless you have everybody who's a capitalist is a capitalist, or you can become people that don't want to, play ball in the capitalism can go into safe mode and become one of those you want to do the minimum. I mean, people like right now who like maybe you take governmental assistance and don't do much, but maybe you can get something if you put in a little bit of volunteer work. You get a lot of assistance. I don't know, man. I don't know what the answer is. I have to really think that out some later time. But you asked me how we could get to Star Trek. I mean, I think that's how you get to Star Trek. It's a good theory, but the human species is too self-absorbed. Yeah, see, that's the problem, is something would go wrong somewhere, right? Like, at some point, someone would get power hungry or manipulate something or whatever, and ruin the whole system, right? But, I mean, so what it really means is Star Trek is not attainable. The original Star Trek, all the Star Treks we know, that system of we work to better ourselves and there's no money anymore, that's not going to happen, apparently. Right? It just doesn't seem possible that's something. By the way, Out of Nowhere is tonight live on Patreon. I hope you guys join us for that. Out of Nowhere tonight, live on Patreon. I hope you guys are here for that. I got a couple more minutes here to ramble about whatever. If you guys want to bring up any topics, say anything, blah, blah, we'll figure it out. I'm worried the Ghostbusters trailer, I think it's going to definitely be better than that 2016 one, no doubt about it. But, I don't think we're ever going to get the tonality and comedy of the original Ghostbusters. That's just not going to happen. The idea that we would get that original tonality and that original style and whatever of Ghostbusters, it just doesn't look. It doesn't look like we're going to get that. Like, there's nobody understands even that that's the humor. They all think these other styles are the humor and these other things are the humor. And it's not the humor. It's too smart. I don't see any other news. I'm trying to see if there's some other news. Someone said there was something else about other news. I don't see any other news. Right now I don't see anything. Besides Bobby Eaton. And tonight's going to be Out of Nowhere live on Patreon, me and Jake DeMarco. There's a lot of wrestling news. I haven't even talked about it. Peyton ROyce talks about how she's she blames herself because she's the one that went to Vince McMahon to say, maybe we should split up and do this whole thing. And so then he did it. So so Peyton ROyce is just blaming herself. So we'll talk about that tonight on Out of Nowhere on Patreon. By the way, thanks to Relic, who became a $25 Patreon producer. I said that the other day, but I just wanted to shout it out again. We're at 301 patrons on Patreon, which is huge. By the way, I just got paid on Patreon the other day, although it's not in my account yet. So, but thank you for that. I saw it. We hit a really big number for what we're at. The big guy just became a patron. Thanks, big guy. Relic went to $25 and became a $25 producer. And Pedwell Rock, my friend Pedwell Rock, who's been around for a long time, is back on Patreon in the $5 spot. Thank you. And I hope some of the other people end up coming back. Halfpenny Link is in the $10 VIP. Donnie Marks is back. Daniel Mendez is back. Parker is back. JCS Foot Rub went up to the $10 VIP spot. Thank you to him. J.R. Ford III went from $1 to $2. Brian Jardines in the $2 spot. And Marcellus Epperson is in the $5 spot. And Humble to Be became a $25 producer. Thank you, guys. Ugh. And Broken Ambrose is back. Thank you to Broken Ambrose. And yeah, I mean, it's been a weird couple days.
Shit bomb!
Oh shit.
You become a shit bomb.
Did you see the video of Chris Chan get arrested Sunday? It was on YouTube and it was epic.
Yes. What a sick fuck. That's the guy who like allegedly had sex with his grandmother or raped his grandmother, right? Or he's a girl, really, though? We're supposed to call her a her? But he raped his grandmother with his dick? Like, I don't know. Chris Chan, right? I'm confused. Is Chris Chan... Yeah, Chris Chan's like a girl, but not really. We're supposed to call her, right? Or is it a guy that dresses up like a girl, but he's a guy still? Oh, God, he's got a necklace like me, almost. That's terrifying. Yeah, and he allegedly raped his grandmother. I'm shocked that a guy in pigtails would rape his grandmother. It's definitely different. Allegedly. But, you know, what a world. What a wonderful world. Is this the lady that he raped? Oh, sick, allegedly. He got arrested. Isn't this the health advisor for the White House? I'm just kidding. Sorry. Nice bandana, though. Kind of looks like Mark Hyder, Tommy's friend, Mark Hyder, who fucks ponies. And also flags down and takes down Monetize This because we mentioned him. Kind of looks like him. I notice a pattern of mentally disturbed people. Like that crazy that they go to lengths to send YouTube this cease and desist over us mentioning him. A little bizarre. Thank you also to My Son Champion. My Son Champion just went from $1 to $5. Man, thank you so much, guys. We did lose a few patrons, so that is really helping out, man. Thank you for the donations today during this stream. Thank you for the Patreon support. And it was his mom. Jesus. Good Lord. That's even weirder. What class system did Chan go for? The underclass. The underwear class. You know, we figured out Dr. Dre's daughter's homeless, but she's making about probably $1,000 a week on DoorDash, but then she has to pay about $400 a week to rent the van that she has. And she's got kids. I still don't know if the kids are living with her or not, though. So we still don't know that. But let's end this show with the way we began it by getting a little freaking gritty, baby. Thanks for being here. Hit that like button. And we'll see you tonight on Out of Nowhere on Patreon for $1.
Yo. This is Philly, in this city, we so gritty. In this city, yeah, we so gritty. In this city, in Philly, yo, we might eat our own shitty. In this city, we're so gritty. In Philly, yeah, gritty. In Philly, we might eat our own shitty. In Philly, we're gritty. Yo, this whole city, we're gritty. Yo, we might eat our own shitty. Yeah, eat our own shitty. In the city of Philly, we eat shitty. We're gritty as can be. We can survive off our motherfucking own feces. In Philly, we're gritty. In Philly, we're gritty. This whole city, we'll eat our own shitty. In Philly, that's why our mascot looks like a crazy ass fuck turd. What the fuck is up? In Philly, yo, we're gritty. In Philly, the city, we'll eat our own shitty. We'll eat our own fecal matter off the street. Yo, Tom Brady, how it feel to get fucking beat? Yo, Philly, we're gritty. In this city, in Philly, we're gritty. We'll eat our own shitty. In Philly, we're gritty. We'll eat our own shitty. In Philly, nobody's fucking with our city.